Beacon Property Management Group versus Luanda Taylor and any and all other occupants.
I know they're down the hall where they were.
Yeah, they checked that out. Luanda and Zaki Taylor, please report to courtroom 11C. Luanda and Zaki Taylor, please report to courtroom 11D.
Great. Morning, Mr. Green.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Beacon Property, and we do have witnesses on this case?
Yes, sir.
Last name Taylor, come on up to the bench, please.
Can I say something?
Oh, that's fine.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Beacon Property Management versus Luanda Daniels Taylor, Zaki Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Anyone that's going to testify, raise your right hand for an oath.
Do you swear or affirm your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, so we're here on hearing for, wow, that's a thick file.
Yes, sir.
That's not a good thing, I'm just commenting.
No, ma'am.
That's a thick file.
No, sir. It's not good.
Continued April 16th to today, assignments for request for an attorney. Do you have an attorney? Is it Mr. and Mrs. Taylor?
No, sir. We're pro se.
Okay, you're pro se, so that means you're representing yourself.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you understand you're still held to the same standards as an attorney? If
Absolutely.
you're gonna argue law, good. Glad you're ready. So then, Mr. Friedman, we're here on first cause, one cause, complaint, forcible entry and detainer. Looking for a 3-day notice. So it's for non-payment of rent. Okay, and, looks like the defendant has filed a counterclaim.
Yes, sir.
When was this filed?
I believe the 23rd. What's the stamp on there? The stamp on there.
Yeah, thanks. Were you served with the counterclaim?
Was not, Your Honor. I did pick up a certified letter from Mr. Taylor, on Monday, or strike that, Tuesday, but it was merely a copy of a correspondence that he had sent to my client, and I've received nothing as far as counterclaim goes.
Your Honor, we did send
Stop.
certified.
Oh, wait,
Yes, sir.
hold on, I'm
Yes,
still
sir.
looking through your counterclaim and the attachments.
Yes, sir.
Is all this part of your counterclaim?
Yes, sir. The exhibits are.
Wow.
We also went, oh,
Stop,
shut
please.
up. Sorry.
How many copies of the counterclaim are here? It feels like I'm flipping through a lot of,
There's only one counterclaim.
okay, wait a second. Does the counterclaim start on page 12?
That did. Yes.
Okay. See, that's confusing.
The answer
Hold
was
on,
first.
wait a second. You have an answer first.
Absolutely.
Let's find that. Okay. Are you folks still living in the property on Marathon Court, by the way?
Yes, sir.
There's an April 23rd, you also filed a motion to stay execution of writ of restitution.
Yes, sir.
There is no writ of restitution. There is no writ of restitution. What's your response?
Our response to it is that they falsified the documents.
Oh, stop, listen. Again, when we started, I said you're going to be held to the same
No, I do
standard.
understand. I do
You're going to
understand.
be held to the same standard, okay? Right now, I'm going through whatever your filings are. And the one that's tagged is labeled motion to stay execution of writ of restitution.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just telling you, there is no writ of restitution.
Correct.
So you're asking the court to stay something that doesn't exist?
They did tell me I filed that in
Wait,
advance.
right, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
It makes sense to ask the court to stay something that doesn't exist?
No, it does not make sense. They did tell me I filed that in advance. I'm
The answer to
agreeing.
that question, it doesn't make sense.
Does not make sense. Correct.
Who's they told you?
When I came up here to file.
Who's they?
Are they the county clerk down on 4th
The
floor?
clerk's office, the clerk's office gave you legal advice to file a motion to stay something that doesn't exist.
They told me it was filed in advance and prematurely, but they still took it.
Well, they took it because you all gave it to them. That's what the clerk's office does, is they accept what you're filing. And now we get to look at what you're filing and decide whether or not you're entitled to what you're asking for. And on that motion, the answer would be no, because,
There is
follow
none.
me, because it doesn't exist.
Correct.
Okay, so we don't have to deal with this much paper that you filed. That's this motion. Looks like there's also a motion for a continuance filed. And again, Mr. Friedman, were you copied on any of these motions?
No, Your Honor.
So you weren't served?
No, Your Honor.
You understand the problem with that, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor?
That's not true. They were served.
How are they served? Well, first of all, your motions don't have a certificate of service on there, which is a statement that you at least, hold on,
I'm not saying
that you at least
that.
mailed it to opposing counsel. So that's not part of your motion. It should indicate that it was served to the opposing
Yes,
side.
sir.
They don't. So, on this one motion anyway, a motion for continuance filed April 23rd that was filed,
Yes, sir.
and that's labeled,
Says
well, it's not
certificate of
helpful that you have
service.
several copies. Either. It's numbered 5 and 6. Do you have I don't see a certificate. Did you serve this to Mr. Friedman?
Yes, sir.
How? How?
By certified mail.
You sent it by certified mail?
Correct.
Okay.
To both locations.
What do you hold?
Both locations.
This is inside of there. There's a copy of this inside of there as well, that we filed along with it.
What did you do? Like number all your filings from 1 to whatever, and then?
No, sir. Everything's in good working order. They put the counterclaim on top, I believe, because that's the only one I had to pay for to file. It started off with the answer.
Okay, let's find your answer.
Sure.
Are these my copies, sir?
You should already have your copies in the mail, but I did bring extra if you need some.
Sir, I am representing to you that I have not signed for any certified mail from you other than a copy of the correspondence that you had sent to Ms. Maddox.
And Miss Maddox
Okay,
is...
stop. This isn't something. So you attempted service through certified mail, right? You sent it through certified mail.
Correct.
And certified mail means you pay to have somebody sign proof that they received it.
Correct.
And then that proof is returned to you, the sender.
Correct.
Do you have that proof?
I do not.
Okay. Well, he's saying he never signed for it.
She has an email saying that she did receive it, the certified mail.
Did your client receive certified mail?
On my behalf? No. If it's sent to me, it goes to me. I have a post office
I have proof of
box.
that right here, sir.
Do you? Let's see what you have.
Yes, sir. We hope this Mr. Spice well. That's enough. Okay. There you go.
Where's the proof? So what you're sending is a copy of the email. Sent to who?
Trina sent it to us,
Okay.
saying that, we have received your paperwork.
Let's see it. Where does it say that? I mean, it's 3 pages.
We have received a copy of your letter. That was the certified letter that was sent to them. Rosa and Jim have made payment arrangements, and then she goes on to say,
Wait, you're talking about, you're saying, I have received a copy of the letter?
That's her.
Rosa and Jim have made payment arrangements
That's her.
with you in the past. What's the letter?
the certified letter that I mailed to them.
Okay, but I'm talking about your
Certificate.
your answer and counterclaim and your various motions.
Yes, that was the entire packet that she received.
She's shaking her head no. Hold on, wait.
Sir?
This doesn't look like a letter to me.
Sir?
Okay, hold on, stop. Mr. Freeman, have you reviewed what's been filed?
Sir, until you pointed it out to me, this is simply a non-payment of rent case. I knew that there was a letter that was sent to them in which they had a proposal on how they would make payments and how they could stay until June 30th. That I am aware of, and that is a copy that I also signed for
Okay.
and certified mail. Until you pulled that file and mentioned answer, counterclaim, request for
You were
stay,
aware of it.
I was not.
Gotcha, all right. So here's the counterclaim that starts on page 12. And it looks like there's several exhibits. Do you have a copy of the counterclaim? Mr. or Mrs. Taylor?
Yes,
Your
you do.
Honor, your case has been so Thursday, so you got the time.
Just the counterclaim.
Yes, sir.
That's your counterclaim, okay. So it looks like what you filed and you're asserting that your counterclaim starts on page 12,
Correct.
includes 12, follow with me, please, includes page 12,
Correct.
then 13,
Correct.
then what do you have?
Page 14,
14, okay, and is there a page 15?
there is with the
All right,
signature.
Page 14 was out of order. Twelve, and it looks like it's out of order here as well. 12, 13, 14, and 15. Now there's a 16 also that says certificate of service,
Yes, sir.
and that was your counterclaim also, right?
Yes.
All right, so far, everything that I've got in front of me that you filed is your counterclaim. Now, you also have what the clerk's office put on top is pages 12, 13, 14, 15. Then it goes to 18. Are you aware of that on this?
Yes, sir.
Is this something else you filed, or is this
That's
something?
the description page of all of the exhibits.
Okay, so you have page 12, 13, 14, 15,
Counterclaim.
and then you have a page 16 that's not included here. That's your certificate of service.
Correct.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do, just to help make this make sense. I'm going to get a complete filing in order of what you filed, okay? I'm going to piece that together.
You want to call it out? I have it in order right here.
Hold on, let's just get it around in the short file, okay? So then you have page 16, your certificate of service, and page 17, this served upon, right?
Correct.
Okay. Then you have 18 and 19, exhibit summary, right?
Correct.
And then you go to exhibit A. You have this for exhibit A, a cover sheet, and then you have exhibit A, which is 1, 2, how many pages is exhibit A?
Not sure, sir.
You haven't counted them?
It's our ledger, so it
That's
wasn't.
not my question.
No, I did not
You
count.
haven't counted them, so you don't know how many pages are in the exhibit.
I can count it now if you want.
Well, actually, it looks like I do see an indication that it's 6 pages. 1 of 6 is 6 of 6.
Correct.
Then you put a cover page for exhibit B, and that purports to be 4 pages, and I count them out, it's 4 pages. Then you have a cover page for exhibit C, and this is nicely organized as pages 1 through 8. Are you tracking with me?
Yes, sir.
Just want to make sure this is what you filed.
Yes, sir.
Now, even though it says exhibits pages 1 through 8, it only goes to 5.
That's correct.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's missing 2 pages.
Of the emails, let's see. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're missing these last pages, sir?
And put them in your exhibit.
Yes, sir.
6, 7, and 8.
Yes, sir. 1 second, please. Sorry. And these are the email chain, correct? That's your name?
It's exhibit C, sir.
Yes, sir. It's more than 8 pages. That's the total.
Okay, hold on. It says 1 through 8. I told you what you filed stops at 5, so you're handing me something that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then something else that's not part of the exhibit.
Thank you.
It
Sorry.
starts at 1 to 3.
I apologize.
Okay. And again, all you're missing is 6, 7, and 8. So I'll return that to you, and you're saying this is the rest of the exhibit.
Exhibit
6,
C.
7, and 8. Then you have a cover page for exhibit D.
Your Honor, may I ask you one question, please, for clarity? For exhibit C, what was the last page you have?
8.
Okay.
1 of 8.
Can I please exchange
For
that?
exhibit, I'm sorry.
Exhibit C, can we please switch that out as a total
Hold on,
exhibit?
hold on. Yeah, that was exhibit C.
Yeah, let's switch that out. This is the whole
Let's
packet.
go do it the way I'm doing it.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is the whole 8 pages.
Yeah. That's what I have. It has 8 pages.
Oh, you have it? Okay, excellent.
Hold on. Are you tracking? You're only missing 6, 7, and 8.
Yes, sir, I didn't have the
You gave
exhibit
it to
on the
me.
other one.
Now you've got complete exhibit C
We're
here with
good.
8 pages.
We're good.
Then you have a cover page for exhibit D,
Correct.
okay? Now the next thing that's filed, well, it looks like it's out of order. It's 8, 7, and 6 from your first exhibit. All right? So that's filed out of order too. So now I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to give you back your 6, 7, and 8 because it was just out of order. Is anybody tracking with me? Yeah, you can have that. Your exhibit C pages that were missing were out of order. They were a few pages behind. So now exhibit C is the full 8 pages.
Quick question?
Why are you raising your hand?
Just a quick question. I did not turn it in like that.
That's not a question.
Okay.
All right, so exhibit D is a cover page, actually, for exhibit D.
Correct.
And that's 1, 2, 3 pages, right? Email?
2, 3, yes, sir.
And then exhibit E is labeled notice of intent to vacate, and that's even more emails. 1, 2, it says 1 of 10, 2 of 10. Were there 10 pages?
2 pages. 2 pages.
All right, but it says 1 of 10 and 2 of 10.
They're part of a whole email chain, but you only have 2 pages for exhibit A.
So you only have 2 pages.
Correct.
Exhibit F,
Yes, sir.
counseling records, question mark, Jackie Taylor.
Correct.
Exhibit F. And do you have those?
Yes, sir.
Okay, again, those are out of order. 1, 2, is that 2 pages?
Yes, sir.
Exhibit G, grief counseling, cover page. And let's see, exhibit G is actually marked 1, 2, 2 pages.
Yes, sir.
Then you have exhibit H, eviction is the article, eviction is the point.
Yes, sir.
Exhibit H has what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages?
Yes, sir.
What is that, an article?
Yes, sir. Independent article that did research on beeping.
Exhibit I, cover page, and the exhibit I is 1, 2 pages. Is that right?
That's correct.
And that's your last one. Correct?
Correct.
No, again. And that was your counterclaim. start on page 12. We already talked about your motion to stay writ of execution that starts on page 8. 8, 9, 10, I'm really glad you remembered this. 11. Looks like there's several. 8, 9, 10, 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. And you have, for some reason, 3 copies of that.
Which,
Of the motion to stay execution, writ of execution.
I did not turn in 3. I guess when someone made a copy, I did not.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep the file copy in a file.
Okay.
Now you have some unnumbered pages.
Yes, sir.
You want to the line? Okay, you're good. I got it. Okay.
What's like this? What's this?
That is the letter, the cover page for the answer, and it tells you exactly what was filed.
It's a cover page for the answer.
It's a letter.
It's not numbered.
Letter that goes along with the answer.
Okay, and then you have an answer.
Correct. Papers, papers, I might be. Thank you, Mr. Friedman.
Which is, you have page number 2. Looks like page 1's not numbered. You have a page 2, 3, 4. And then you have a couple copies of that as well. You go 2, 3, 4. And there's another copy of this. 2 cover pages, and then 2, 3, 4. All right. Then you have page 5, which is a motion for a continuance. It goes 5, 6, 7. Oh, we're getting close. So there's 1 filing there, and then you probably have 2 copies attached to this as well. Which you do. 5, 6, 7, 5, 7, 6, out of order.
Sorry about that, Judge.
All right, and those are copies, which don't need to be in the court file. We only need the original in the court file. So, if we put it all together, there's your answer that's not numbered, a cover page to the answer, 2 pages of that.
Yes, sir.
And then the first page of your answer is not numbered, and then you go to page 2, 3, 4, and then page 5 is your motion for continuance,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
And page 7 is the end of your motion for continuance.
That's correct.
And then you go to page 8,
It's being thrown out.
which is your motion for stay of execution, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yes, sir.
That's that motion. And then on page 12 starts your counterclaim. Here. All right, so those are all nicely marked and in order now, which is not how I received it.
Sorry about that, Judge.
Well, you're saying it's not your fault.
It's not, I have them,
No, then you don't need to apologize.
Appreciate you taking the time.
I have to. Right? Okay, good. Now, so, all that's in order, and we have Mr. Friedman saying he hasn't seen it. I can give you a chance to look at it, Mr. Friedman. This might be helpful, and if anybody's inclined to be helpful, that would be good. The eviction case is claiming that there's non-payment of rent. So that means they're claiming you folks rented from them under the rental agreement, you're supposed to pay rent, and you did not pay rent, and so they're entitled to have the property back. That's their claim. Okay? All right. Is that a good summary of your claim, Mr. Friedman?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and thank you for your patience, and you have one witness for that. Now, your answer to that, the issue is whether or not your rent has been paid as it was due. What's your answer to that, Mr. and Ms. Taylor? You can, hold on. I know, you spend a lot of time, and I'll look clearly, a lot of time in ink even on that, okay? But you're under oath now. Just give me your summary. What's your answer to their claiming that you didn't pay rent on time under a rental agreement? And what's your answer to that?
There were times that we were late and continued to pay all the way through. We made payment arrangements and have continued to pay until we got cut off from our portal and cut off from being able to make payments back in February.
Okay. So are you saying your rent was past due or not past due?
Has been past due on a continuous basis after we lost our jobs.
After you what?
Lost our jobs, and she became a full-time caretaker for her mother.
Okay, all right. So what they have is a notice to leave premises dated March 6th as part of their case.
Yes, sir.
And at that time, was your rent past due?
It was, they had cut us off from being able to make payment in our portal.
Okay, when did they cut you off?
Towards the end of February, we sent our first correspondence, which is inside the exhibits.
So
We couldn't
at
get
end of February, they cut you off. Were you past due in February?
Yes, in February, we were $2,500, which we were planning to pay, but they cut us off before we do it.
So your rent was past due in February?
Correct. We paid a partial payment.
Partial payment. Were you past due for January?
No, January had gotten caught up because
You
we
were
had
caught up.
PRC.
What about anything time before January?
It was a continuous basis. We get it down to zero, right back, it's back again.
Yeah, did you get it back down to, at January, it was back to zero?
All the way down to zero. No, by that time, there were too many late fees on it, so no.
Okay, so, it sounds like you made a payment in January.
We've continued, yes, sir.
Okay, but it didn't bring your balance to zero
No, sir.
because of late fees, because of other late payments.
Correct.
So in January, you had balance due.
Correct.
What about December? Did you have the balance due in December?
In December, we cleared the balance pending PRC. More charges came, so we ended up being late again.
You did or you didn't clear the balance?
We did not. We
Did
could
not.
We could not.
That was in December?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So what they're claiming is that in March, you had non-payment of rent, right? Which is would be a violation of your lease. Okay, so that's what they're claiming, and you're agreeing to that, is what your answer is, right? Or is there more to your answer?
There's a lot more, sir.
No, we'll summarize it for me.
Yes. Continuously, we have made payments all the way through, and
Yeah.
the lease is only 3 years old. Never had a problem, lost the job, communicated in advance of what was happening. We signed for PRC. The previous property manager that is underneath Beacon did not turn in our paperwork. We had to turn back around. We got a new property, I'm sorry for this, we got a new property manager who then turned in PRC again for us to catch up. By that time, her mother was terminally diagnosed with cancer, became home health care. She had to go part-time. This is all the documentation communicated. At that point, with the late fees and the rent, we were about 2 months past due, but the late fees included came up to $6,000. PRC played that going into 23 to 24. If you look at the ledger that we submitted, you'll see that we continuously continue paying lump sums, because I'm self-employed. My invoices don't fall on the exact same date. We explain that over and over.
So you made payments but never got caught up?
Right, and when we did get caught up, rent was due again within 7 to 10 business days, so we're always running this loop. Never was
So
there,
were you ever caught up?
oh yes, several times.
Okay, so
Several
there were
times.
times when you did get catch up?
Absolutely.
And then you were late again?
Absolutely.
For over 3 years?
For the last year and a half, almost 2 years, this is what is in the cycle.
Okay.
The first year that we were never late, we
Okay,
got everything.
so why shouldn't they be able to evict you for non-payment now? That's what was done. What's your answer?
We've always wanted to pay. We've never wanted to not pay. We've always continued to pay. We even sent and made an agreement to pay. They changed the terms
Hold on.
of the agreement.
Pay or partial pay?
Well, actually, for that particular month, we wanted to get it down to zero again.
Okay, so you tried to do that in February, but they not locked out before. That's your answer.
Yes, sir.
You tried to pay it in February.
Correct.
Okay. And they've made partial payments before.
All the way through.
All right, so that's your answer, which I get, all right? Assuming that's what you also wrote, I could accept that as an answer. Now, you filed a counterclaim too.
Yes, sir.
Okay, in the counterclaim, you're alleging they owe you money?
The duress, the stress, the counseling, everything that we've had to go through, if you can imagine taking care.
Wait, is that your counterclaim, they owe you money because of the duress and stress of going through this?
No, we actually run a business, and as the basement is not part of the lease, as it's stating in their lease, our business is run out of there, which is registered with the state of Ohio. It has prevented us from being able to carry our business because of flooding that has happened in the basement several times. We've reported it.
That's your counterclaim?
Yes, sir.
Right.
There's a lot in there, and if I don't have the time to go through each step, it's very difficult to explain it in a lump sum.
Yeah, but you could, that's why you need to have the artist summarizing it.
Okay.
So the summary is because of the condition of the property, you couldn't use the basement?
I'll summarize it for you. Based on statutory violations, documented financial damages, emotional distress, unlawful billing practices, retaliatory conduct, and corroborating third-party media evidence.
And what was the last one?
Corroborating third-party media evidence. Those are the articles that independent research has been done for the state of Ohio, Columbus, Beacon property, as well as the actual owner of the property. Those were submitted into evidence as well.
Okay, that's not a summary. So a summary is something like, here's why they owe, a counterclaim is alleging they owe you money.
Yes, based on statutory violations.
Statutory violations of what?
Let's see, failure to maintain premises,
Okay, because they failed to maintain the premises.
flooding and mold, broken sump pump, faulty water controls, retaliatory conduct, plaintiff initiated eviction with the intent to have impact to help pay the bill. That was in writing as well.
Right.
Internal Beacon correspondence reveals the eviction was used as a force of external, to get external assistance.
Hold on. That's okay if the eviction was proper.
I'm just telling you what their intent was and what they
Well,
put
I'm
in
just telling
writing.
you that that's not part of, if you're alleging that as something they did wrong out of the counterclaim, why they owe you money, that's not improper to file an eviction if the eviction was proper at that time. What you're saying was they filed the eviction just to get impact assistance. Well, that happens a lot. And it's something, that's not necessarily improper.
Right, I'm just saying the moralistic value of that was totally wrong, in our opinion.
This eviction or previous eviction?
The threat of eviction over the last 2 years. This isn't the first time.
Okay, gotcha.
Can I go on
Good,
with the rest?
that's a good summary. So, you want to take that summary, Mr. Friedman, or do you want to actually look at what they filed? Do you have a response to
I
that?
think that what they filed is going to take some time for me to review. But
You want to review?
I can do that, Your Honor. I can put our position out to the court. Our position out to the court is, my client has attempted to work with these defendants before. They made an agreement with them before to get themselves caught up. They did not.
Yeah.
The next thing that happened is they were told that they needed to get caught up, and they were more than likely advised that, to seek some assistance from someplace. The portal was in fact cut off. I know that the defendants contacted my clients saying, well, we're unable to continue to make these payments. And it was explained to them by my clients that they no longer wanted to keep accepting partial payment.
Okay.
Now, my clients have a place of business. They also have a drop box. There are numerous ways to pay your rent if in fact you're trying to pay rent. But what they have been told in no uncertain terms is that partial payment was no longer going to be accepted.
When were they told that?
When we filed the eviction,
Pardon?
when we filed the eviction,
When you filed the eviction,
Yes.
you said you're not going to accept any partial payments?
yes,
But you accepted partial payments before then?
we had, yes. We had made arrangements to let them make partial payments, and they never stuck to the arrangements.
Okay.
And we had done that several times, trying to
Okay, so it
assist
sounds
them.
like you agree that you let them make partial payments.
We did.
During the course of their tenancy. And then at some point, you weren't gonna let them do that.
Right,
And at that point was when you filed the eviction?
yes, because they hadn't, February, they made a payment of $1,000.
You ever
January,
tell them something like, okay, listen, we're tired of being Mr. Nice Guys. You've been late on your rent. We've been accepting partial payments, but we just can't do it anymore,
yes,
right? And so, we're gonna give you X amount of time to get caught up, and from then on there, you gotta pay your rent on time like everybody else. And as stated under the terms of the lease. Did you ever say anything like that to them?
yes.
When?
The dates, I'm not 100% sure of the exact dates.
Before you filed the eviction?
Yes,
So sometime before you filed the eviction, you gave them notice of something like, hey, I know we've been doing it in the past, but enough's enough. You've got X amount of time to get caught up, and from there on then, you gotta pay your rent on time. Something like
Yes.
that? Perfect. And you can find it?
Rosa should have it. She's the
Okay.
property manager, I brought her with
Okay.
me.
So you gave them that notice?
Yes, she's got emails showing.
And then you gave them a reasonable amount of time to get caught up,
Yes,
and they didn't?
correct. They weren't paying the full, even the full amount of rent for each month,
Well, then-
whether,
Okay, now hold on, wait a second. You're saying, which I trust, you probably have a stack of paperwork too, that at some point you told them notice, you gave them a notice, we're not gonna accept any more partial payments, you gotta pay in full by such and such a date.
yes,
You gave them that notice, okay. And did they pay, they didn't pay in full,
no,
and you didn't take any more partial payments?
no. As of February, we didn't take any more partial payments. They were supposed to pay or stick to their agreements. They were not sticking to the agreements. And that's when we told them, we can't take the partial payments any longer because you're not even paying the partial pay. You're not paying even a month rent.
Okay, so what they're saying is, yes, you got behind for whatever various reasons. At some point, they said, we can't take partial payments anymore. You have to get caught up. And then you didn't do that. And so they would take partial payments after that. That's what they're saying.
Yes, sir.
Does that sound like what happened?
No.
Okay, well, that's the disagreement here.
Yes, sir.
Okay? That's what the case is gonna have to show. Because it sounds like you agreed to everything else.
Yes, sir.
You were tenants, you lived there, at some point you got past due on your rent, they were taking partial payments, okay? They're saying, but at some point, they said, we're not gonna do that anymore, which a landlord can do.
Absolutely.
We're not gonna do that anymore, we're gonna give you X amount of time, some amount of time to get caught up. And if you can, great, if you can't, then you're breaching the agreement.
Correct.
Okay, so you got that evidence.
Yes.
Okay, do you have it with you now?
Go ahead.
Great, pull it up. Have you seen it, Mr. Friedman?
Your Honor, like I said, I was not aware that we had
Okay,
an answer or
well, here's what I'm
counterclaim.
gonna do. Put that down.
Yes, sir.
So here's what I'm gonna do. I think I've given you plenty of time so far, and a lot of things to chew on. So I'm gonna give Mr. Friedman, you know how I just sat here for too long and put everything together, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor?
Yes, sir.
In order?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a copy of it in order for Mr. Friedman now?
Yes, if you give me about 2 minutes, I have it here. I just kind of disarranged it.
Instead of giving you the court copy, Mr. Friedman, which is now in order and we could copy, Mr. Taylor says he has a copy for you.
Okay,
All right, so he's going to give you that. I'll give you a moment to review it. And you've got evidence that you gave them notice, something to the effect of no more partial payments. You got to get caught up by a certain amount of time, and they didn't do it. And that's the basis for the eviction. Show them that evidence too. That's going to be important. Okay? And then we'll have you come back up, put everybody under oath again, and then I'll just decide the case. Now, sounds like you've worked with each other in the past. That time may be over. Working together time may be over. I accept that. You folks should accept that if that's the case. So, it might be that you talk about this and you realize, oh, we can work it out again. We worked it out before. That's fine. Work it out. It's still your case to work out. Okay? But if you can't, I'll hear the case. And either they've proven the eviction this time or not. Wait. Okay? So I would go forward and hear the case for the eviction, right? One of your motions is a motion to continue the case again after you've asked for a continuance last time. Mr. Friedman, are you going to agree to a second continuance?
I am. Not at this time, Your Honor, no.
Okay, so be prepared to go forward. Yeah, Mr. Taylor, you have a question?
We had voluntarily willing to vacate the property. Son graduates next month, transition to college, he's gonna go to college.
That's an offer.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
hold
and a
on. You're
payment.
free, hold on, stop. You're free to make those offers back and forth, all right? If you think that'll help resolve the case. Well, please don't evict us, we'll leave by such and such a date. Okay, you leave by such and such a date, but here's what you have to do till then. That's called an agreement, put it in writing, all right? That's fine, you can agree to do that if you want. Right? They don't have to give you that time.
The official notice to vacate.
Yeah, but hold on, they don't have to give you that time.
Okay.
Okay? If they want to try to go forward to see if they can establish the eviction today, they can do that.
Mhm.
Good. Talk about it.
All right.
Your Honor, may I, take care of my other client
Yeah,
before I
absolutely.
go
We've got a lot more
ahead
to
and
do
deal
than
with
the
this?
Taylor case. Sure.
Go ahead and go outside, ladies, I'll be with you.
You want to do Mr. Freeman's cases and then we can move on?
I don't have one other one.
Great.